Hi, I'm Paul. In this video, I'll show you how to set up the desktop audio in OBS Studio. There's a free PDF that you can download and follow along with. You don't need to provide an email address or any other information. Just click on the link in the description and the PDF will open in a browser, and then you can download it. I already created a tutorial about configuring the basic settings in OBS Studio. I'll put the link to that video in the description of this video. There's also a free PDF for that video. But before we get started with OBS, we need to take a look at our Windows settings. So if you haven't already downloaded OBS Studio, I'll put the link in the description of this video. It's also in the PDF, and I'm going to be using a PDF as we go through this video, so you can easily follow along with it. If you're using some other operating system other than Windows, you'll have to check to see how you get into your settings. I have no idea to help you with that. But what we want to do is, if you see this little gear icon, the settings icon in your taskbar, click on that. If you don't see that, come over here to the search, and this is Windows 11, and I believe it's the same with Windows 10. And you can either, if you've used it recently, you'll see that the icon is up here. If not, just start typing settings, and when it pops up, just click on that, select system, sound, and just make sure your speakers are selected. The reason you see this quadcast, that's because the microphone that I'm using has a headphone jack. And this iGnook, this is a 15-inch display that I have an additional 15-inch display connected to this laptop. Over here, if this is has an X or a line through it, that means it's muted. You don't want it muted. And then you can turn up the audio, the volume with this slider. There is no save option here. When you're done, just click the X and close out. The X is in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. So it's going to be a little tricky making this video because I'm using OBS to record the video. And when I'm doing that, there's certain features that aren't available. They're grayed out, but I'll put screenshots up. So what you're seeing right now, this is the user interface, and it's not what it looks like when you first install OBS. I'll put a screenshot of that up right now. The reason I have all this other stuff is because I needed to add these items in the sources. The webcam is the Razor. The display capture is what's being displayed on my laptop monitor, and then the HyperX Quadcast S is the microphone. So I'll be doing that as I'm going along with this with this video. So this UI layout, you can actually drag things around these dock panels and rearrange them and make them larger and smaller and do all kinds of stuff. But if it gets to the point where it's all messed up, just come up to View and then select UI Layout, and that resets everything. And what you're seeing right now is this scene transition. Over here, you can have multiple scenes, and every scene will have its own microphone, camera, images, desktop display, the desktop audio if you need it. And the scene transitions is used as you're clicking between these when there's multiple scenes here. In this case, it's set to fade at 300 milliseconds, which means it just adds a nice, smooth transition. I never make any adjustments to this, and I don't need it. I don't need to see it. So if you want to hide any of these docks, which I think the only one you'd probably ever want to hide is the scene transition, just come up to Docks and select Scene Transitions, and it's gone. And then it frees up more space on your UI layout. So now we need to make some changes in OBS's settings. So come down here to the lower right-hand corner of the screen and select Settings. And I'll turn myself off. When this panel opens, come down to Output, And what you're seeing in the, if you've just installed OBS, or if I'll put up a screenshot, the output mode will say simple. You want to use this drop down arrows over here and select advanced, then come over to recording. The path right here, the recording path, is a location that you've set up on your hard drive where you're going to save the recordings that you're making. So you can just create a folder, and then you can come over here and browse to it. The audio track, what you're going to see is only track 1 selected. I've got track 2 and 3 selected because I'm using track 2 for the desktop audio, and track 3 I'll use for another microphone at a later date in the next video that I make. Everything else you're just going to leave the same. Then come over to audio. We're right next to recording. These audio bit rates, they'll be at 160, and I can't even scroll down right now, but there's another track below this. Change that bit rate for all of them to 320. That'll give you some cleaner audio. Then come over here to the left, select audio. The default sample rate is 48 kilohertz or 48,000 hertz. If it's not, change it to 48,000 hertz. That'll give you better audio. The channels will say stereo. I don't record anything in stereo, even the desktop audio, but that's just a personal preference. You can either leave it as stereo or you can change it to mono. In this case, I've changed it to mono. Under global audio devices, use the drop down. When you first install OBS, it's probably set to default. Just use the drop down, come over here and select your speakers. Leave the rest of these disabled. You don't want to add microphones here in this section. I've had a problem in the past where for some reason the gain of the microphone was hard to adjust, and I was picking up a lot of background noise, and I couldn't filter it out. So I don't add any microphones in or anything else in this section. Just leave it disabled. Down here under meters where it says peak meter type, it's going to be set to sample peak. What you want to do is change it to true peak. And the reason for that is to get your proper loudness levels in either your video editor. I also use Audacity, which is a free open source audio editing program. I've done videos on this in the past, so I'll put a link to the first video about initially setting up Audacity, and then you can follow along with the rest of the videos because you want to get the proper loudness level for YouTube and other internet platforms, and this will help with that. There's nothing else that you need to change in this screen. You'll click apply. It's grayed out here because I haven't made any changes. And then just go ahead and click the OK button. So what you're seeing in the PDF, and again, if you've just installed OBS Studio, you'll see the desktop audio. You'll see the microphone will be labeled mic/aux for auxiliary. There'll be nothing in the sources, and the scene will just, under scenes, it'll just say scene. So OBS Studio automatically creates a scene for you, but it doesn't put anything in the sources. And this other microphone that you see here, that's my Razer webcam. It has a microphone, so that's why that's displayed. So what we want to do with the desktop audio is click on this 3-dot menu icon, and it doesn't matter which one you select. They all open the same panel. And then you want to select audio properties. So we need to make some changes in here. So, and this is just personal preference, but I like to set my microphone and my desktop audio to at least -3 dB. So I'm not picking up background noise, and I try to keep them at the same level same volume level if possible, but depending on your microphone and your loudness that's coming through your desktop audio, not necessarily your speakers, but what's going to your speakers, you may need to adjust these. And I'll show you that in a little bit. Since I'm recording in mono, I select mono for both of these. Again, personal preference. The sync offset. So what this means is that an audio file records faster than a video file. So what you see when you in a PDF and when you first install OBS, it says 0 milliseconds. I've adjusted mine to 75 because there's a little bit of a delay. If your videos are and audio is in sync, you can just leave it at 0. But what I would do is I would create a 15-20 second video and check to see that when you're talking, the audio is in sync with the video. If not, you can come here and you can change this. If you put this up to 200 and record a short video, you'll see how much out of sync it is. So you'll have to play around with that a little bit. This monitor off, if you come down here and you select monitor only or monitor and output, if you have headphones connected to your microphone, you'll be able to hear yourself as you're recording or streaming. In my case, I don't do that, but if I need to play back some audio and hear it, say if it's a video on YouTube or if it's some music or something that I have on my computer, you don't want the audio coming through your speakers because it'll be picked up by your microphone and it's going to sound terrible. I usually don't monitor it. I just put the headphones on, but that's up to you. You can play around with that and see what's comfortable for you. All these check boxes will be checked. You want to uncheck all of them except leave one track selected for your microphone and one track selected for your desktop audio. If you add additional microphones, you'll select those. So only one track is selected per device. And when you're done, just select the close button. So now what we need to do is we need to add the desktop audio in sources. If you've just installed OBS, you're not going to see anything here. So I don't have the desktop audio added yet. So to add a microphone, desktop audio, images, camera, come down here to the little plus button and select that. And here's where you add everything. So here's your microphone. Here's your an audio capture device, whether it's your desktop audio or something else. You can your display capture. So whatever's on your computer screen, if just like what I'm doing now, you'll want to add a display capture. You can add multiple displays if you have more than one monitor hooked up to your computer. You can add an image or a slideshow. And then here's where you're going to add your webcams or your cameras. So right now I'm going to select audio output capture for my desktop audio. And as you'll see, it already has one. So just click on the add existing radio button, then select desktop audio, then select OK. And now you see it here. So this is what I like to do. Audio devices do not need to be on top. I move them down to the bottom. So the microphones and my desktop audio is at the bottom. Everything else, images, the camera, the display capture, those go in layers. So right now, in the beginning of this video, I had this banner up. So underneath that banner is what the camera is capturing. And underneath that, so this is the top layer. What the camera's capturing is the next layer. And what's on the display, that's the rest of this, that's the bottom layer. If I move either the razor up or the image down, and I'm going to move it down, You see how it's hidden here? Because the webcam, the video it's capturing is laying over it. If I move this down again, it disappears. So you just have to be careful of that when you're using images or your camera or your display capture, that everything is going in a layer, like one piece of paper laying over the other. You can disable it by just clicking the little eyeball, just like when I'm opening other windows and I don't want my image to be over it from the camera, I disable it. And the reason this looks like this, like two mirrors facing each other, is because OBS is capturing the screen, which is capturing the screen, and on and on. It looks like two mirrors facing each other. If you need to delete anything, you can just select it and come down here and click on the trash can. So here's the desktop audio. And now what we want to make sure is that it's actually selected. So you can come up to Properties, or you can just right mouse click on it and then come down to the bottom and select Properties. And then come over when this window, let me hide myself. When this panel or window opens where it says device, it might still say default. Come down here and make sure you've selected your speakers, and then just click OK. So you can also rename anything that's in the sources, or you can rename the scenes. Fast way of doing it is just select whatever it is that you want to rename and then press F2, or you can select, and again, the scene, you can do the same thing. You can just right mouse click if you want, and you'll see where it says rename. You can also delete anything that's in the sources or any scene by just selecting it and then clicking on the little trash can down here. To adjust the audio levels, and as you can see right now as I'm speaking, the meter for the microphone, it's staying around roughly around -15 to -10 decibels. It applies to your desktop audio also. What you want to try to do is you want to keep both of these levels the same. So as I'm playing whether it's a video or music or anything else, I want to keep it at no louder than how I'm speaking generally, or I want it to be the loudness to be less. What you don't want to see is when you're speaking, you don't want to see these meter levels going into the red, because over here to the far right, if that happens, it's going to cause clipping, which means it's going to be distorted. And if it's distorted, there's no way for you to fix it. So what I'm going to do is right now, you can see that there's nothing in the desktop audio. It's not capturing anything, but it's ready to. So I'm going to bring up a video, one of my videos on my channel, and I'm going to start playing it. And that way you're going to be able to see that the desktop audio is being captured. So this is a video that I created a while back about my Fujifilm X-T30 camera. And I've got the audio slider all the way down to -53 decibels. I've got the loudness level all the way up on the video. And when I select this, when I start playing the video, it's going to go away and you're not going to be able to see it as I move this slider, and then I'll bring it back. So it's going to be coming in and out. But what I don't want to do is I don't want my microphone picking up the audio. So I'm going to have to mute the audio. And this is when you would use headphones if you were doing this, because you don't want your microphone to pick the audio up from the speakers of your computer or your laptop. Otherwise, it's going to sound terrible. And I make this mistake all the time. I just made it trying to record this part of the video. So I'm going to mute my microphone, my quadcast, and I can either mute it by clicking this the speaker icon, or I can just tap the microphone and it'll mute it. Then you'll see this go gray. You'll still see the meter reacting, but it'll be gray, so you won't or it won't be picking up the audio. So I'm going to start playing this, and then I'm going to start adjusting this slider to try to bring that audio level somewhere between -20 and -15. Is on the bottom plate, you'll see where it has the Roman numeral 2 next to the where it says XT30. So what I like about this camera, so I own. Okay, so it should have captured the audio. And again, this is the audio going to your speakers or your headphones. So you don't have to physically hear it. You could have the speakers on your desktop muted. You don't have to have a microphone connected. And the audio is still being delivered to OBS. So again, it's something you just want to play around with, but I'm trying to keep that audio no greater than the loudness of my voice, and I'll probably end up bringing it down when I go and edit this video. That's one way of adjusting the audio. The other way, you can just come back into this 3-dot menu icon, select Advanced Audio Properties. Let's say I wanted it at exactly 14 decibels, and I can't seem to get it by using the slider. Just, again, come over to the 3-dot icon, and then come up here, and then just use these up and down arrows to fine-tune it, and then just close it out. So here's another thing you want to beware of. Let's say I'm capturing my voice with my microphone and the desktop audio, or I've got a second microphone connected, or all three or more devices. After you finish recording, when you go to play the video, if you just open it up, and the default on Windows machines is Windows Media Player, you're probably only going to hear one track. You're not going to hear all the tracks. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's something that I'm doing wrong or if it's an issue with the Windows Media Player, but it happens on my laptop and my desktop. So before you get upset that it didn't record correctly, you can use OBS our Audacity. It's a free audio editing program. It's open source. It's been around for a long time, probably 15, 20 years. I'll put the link to that in the description of this video, and it's also, the link is in the PDF. You can just drag and drop your video into that. It'll extract the audio. It doesn't do anything to your original video file. It just pulls the audio out, and then you'll see all the different tracks, and then you can listen to it. Or bring that video into your current video editor just to make sure all the tracks recorded correctly and everything is there and it's at the proper loudness. Because again, I don't know what's wrong with what's wrong with the Windows Media Player, if anything, or if it's just me, but be aware that you may not hear all the tracks. So the next video I'm doing is about adding a microphone. Then I'll do another video about adding a webcam or a camera so you can pick up the video in OBS Studio, and then another one about adding images and a slideshow. So I hope this helped you. If it did, I'd appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and thank you for watching.